Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Robocraft with me, Lathrix. And of course, welcome to Ghosts in the Machine, the newest update to hit Robocraft, which has introduced two new items to the game. The Ion Disruptor, a new weapon which acts very much like a shotgun, and the Ghost module, which is, as you might imagine, an invisibility module, as the Ghost might suggest. It's really quite a weird set of items which have been added, in addition to a whole host of balance changes and bug fixes. The full patch notes will be linked in the description below if you want to look at quite a few numbers, as the only balance change I'm going to be focusing on today is that of the Proto Seeker, which has been massively altered. Its damage has been increased drastically, so now it's more comparable to that of a laser, although its maximum range has also been drastically crippled. It no longer can fire quite as far as it used to by quite a large margin, although with its increased damage it's now better at mid-range rather than long-range fighting, and will do incredibly well at that, against very agile enemies which get up close to you, particularly those like a Tesla bot. This is going to be absolutely brutal, although it does seem to be encroaching on the territory of the laser because of its high CPU yield and lack of redundancy. Because of this, the lasers are still a much better alternative if you're looking for a very brawly bot, although these will now actually do pretty decently. It is worth avoiding enemies who are shooting you with Proto Seekers, whereas before, you could very easily get up close and absolutely destroy them because of their lack of damage. And so we move on to the newer things, the new items, the things which people are most interested in seeing. First of all, the Ghost module. So the Ghost module, here it is very, very expensive. That's the first thing I would like to say. It costs 11,245,000 RP, which was a little bit more than I was expecting, although the reason for this cost is because it cost 305 CPU, making it the highest CPU using module so far, a full 10 higher than the Disc Shield, and even more so than the others. The Ghost module cloaks your robot and consumes power whilst cloaked. Firing weapons or taking damage will trigger decloaking automatically. Push for loadout assignment key to activate and deactivate. Ignoring the coughing fit I just had, I think it's safe to say that the Ghost module is a very cool addition to the arsenal in Robocraft, even if it is definitely an item for the people who have been playing for a very long time, with its incredibly high CPU load and its incredibly high RP cost. One thing I would like to mention before we move on is that your teammates will see you very easily. It's not like you're going to be almost impossible to find for healers and such, as you are almost like a shaded version of yourself, rather than being truly invisible to both your own point of view and from the point of view of your allies. The enemies, however, will have a much harder time seeing you, where you'll only give off a slight shimmer. So if they already know you're there, they'll probably be able to find you, but if they don't, then well, you've got a good chance of going past them completely undetected. It's very similar to the stealth system in a lot of games. What springs to my mind is that of the old Halo games with the old very obvious shimmer effect, but if you weren't paying attention, that could get you killed very, very easily. If an enemy already has a lock on you, which it doesn't mention here, you will lose the lock upon going into the stealth mode, so it's really good for avoiding missile launchers and even to an extent the Proto Seekers, now that they're a little bit scarier. Moving on to the weapon, the Ion Distorter. It really doesn't tell you much in the description, but thankfully it is a very simple weapon. The closer an enemy is, the more damage it does. It shoots 20 projectiles. Each of these projectiles does a set amount of damage, and the less you get hit by, the less you get hurt by, just like a shotgun in almost every game. The power consumption is 28.75, which means if you hold down the fire and you have maximum energy, you will fire a grand total of 4 times before running out of power, because of course you are regenerating energy all the time between shots. so you don't get many shots out of it, but the amount of damage you do, 4 shots is normally enough to completely obliterate an opponent, as we're going to see now as we get into the single player. Although I should also explain the cost of this thing, which I almost forgot about then. It costs a whopping 6,329,000 and is very similar to the lock-on missile launcher in terms of the cost, in terms of the CPU load, in terms of the health. It's all very similar, although the shotgun does have more health as it's a more brawly weapon. The one thing I will say as well is, just like a lot of the other bigger weapons, it has multiple connection points to make it a little bit more sturdy when in battle. So let's get into single player and let's have a quick look at the invisibility module and the shotgun. Here we are, and I would like to say, first of all, that I was completely incorrect there when it comes to how many shots you get before completely running out of power. I did the math completely wrong in my head. You actually get 5 shots, not 4. So, let's try out the shotgun in incredibly short range. 1, 2, and the little robot's gone. As you can probably tell, there's a lot of impact with the shotgun, and it's also just an incredibly satisfying weapon to use. You can reduce even very sturdy robots to absolute rubble very, very quickly. Although if you are at a longer range, let's say here, the damage is much, much less. Even here, which is still pretty close, I'm doing almost no damage, considering how much power is being taken away per shot. Any further away and it's almost worthless, and we can see the maximum range there is pretty much nothing. You need to be point blank for this weapon to be worth anything. And now we test out invisibility! Yay! Very, very cool, and it even quiets down the music when you're in this mode. So one thing to note, like I said earlier, you and your teammates can see you a lot better than the enemy can, so it's not quite that obvious when you're made invisible. Now if I just want to get nice and close to the enemy so we can fire the shotgun. And as you can see, as soon as you shoot, you are out of the invisibility and back into the match. And that's pretty much that. Like I said before though, there will be a link in the description for all of the changes so you can have a look yourself. And if I've missed anything or got something wrong, I will be putting it into the description. And as you can see here with the Proto Seekers, the range has been nerfed massively. I can't even hit a target that far away, but if we get close to someone, so not quite finishing then, let's have a quick look at the Proto Seeker. There we are. We can see that the damage has also been massively increased, even if he did teleport away before I could fully kill him. Blocks actually being destroyed here pretty quickly. And the shotgun clearing them up. And that is pretty much that. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Robocraft is a series you wish to see more of on the channel. Thank you for watching. Next time, hopefully, I'll be a bit less ill and a bit less rushed. Thank you again, and goodbye.